Hello and welcome to the 140 Game Build Guide Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I would like to say a big thank you to Mitchell Patino for sending in some awesome pictures of the 3rd Scions SF group of the 505th. Absolutely love this army. The converted troopers, amazing. The overall colour scheme, those Tauroxes, great. That Psyker, mind-blowing. Love the whole thing. Thank you for sending these pictures of Mitchell. That Psyker kind of reminds me of Balthazar Gelt. Is that where that head's from? I don't know. It just looks awesome. So thank you for sending these pictures in. If anyone else has got any cool pictures they want me to use in my videos, please post them on my Facebook page. There will be a link down in the description below. I've had some people say, how do I send pictures in? Blah, blah. When I set the page up, like a numpty, I set it up as just a person rather than a group. So I believe, and I could be wrong here, but I believe the way you add pictures to it is send me a friend request. I'll accept it. And then you can post pictures on the page, no problems there. I check the Facebook pretty regularly, and I tend to at least go through all the friend requests once or twice a week. So don't worry if you don't get it straight away, but pictures can be posted there. If you're not a Facebook person, or if that system sounds like total crap to you, and it sounds a bit like total crap to me, then please, you can email them to me at mordianglorytv@gmail.com. I check the email once or twice a week there as well. So I do get around to using those pictures as well. I know some people don't like Facebook and whatnot. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So today, guys, we're going to be doing another quick tip tactica. We are going to be looking again at a stratagem from the Psychic Awakening, and then looking at it in a bit of a different way, and maybe in a way that is not, you know, not immediately obvious. So the one we're going to be looking at today is the 1 CP stratagem from Psychic Awakening, and it's for the heavy weapon teams, and I believe it's called Concentrated Barrage. I'm just going to double check that because I don't want to get it wrong. Concentrated Fire. I knew barrage didn't sound right. Concentrated Fire. It's 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase. Select a heavy weapon squad. When you shoot it, it gets +1 to hit and +1 to wound. So for 1 CP, +1 to hit, +1 to wound is very nice. It's very nice. Now, there are 2 immediate targets that spring to mind when you think of this stratagem. Okay, the first one that I have used it on, and I have seen everyone else use it on, is mortars. Right? Because mortars are good, right? You know? Finally, there's more, you know, especially if you're like, oh, Cajun mortars, you know, now you're hitting on, you know, hitting on 3s, and you get to reroll the wounds, and you're wounding Marines on 3s. That all sounds pretty good, right? Well, yeah, that is pretty good. But the problem is that mortars are quite expensive now. You know, they're 10 points a pop. I mean, 10 points for D6 bolter shots a turn. Even with +1 to hit, +1 to wound, it's not great. And yeah, the blast and so on and so forth. And it is good putting it on mortars, but you know, it's not an automatic pick. It's not as automatic as I think people think it is. So yeah, and then the other option that I see a lot of people putting them on is lascannons. Yeah, lascannons. Finally, get those lascannons hitting on 3s. Again, if you've got Cadian, or even just a regular old commander giving them take aim, you know, hit on 3s, rerolling 1s at the least. That's pretty good, right? But then you're wounding. It's like, oh, you even wound Imperial Knights. You wound the heaviest stuff in the game on 2s. Now that is good. Let's not underestimate it. It is good, but 2 problems. 1. Lascannons are pretty expensive. They're 15 points a pop. Okay? It's not ideal. And 2, if you put lascannons in a heavy weapon team and you're relying on them to do the majority of your anti-tank, the enemy is going to take 1 look at them and kill them. That has always been the problem with putting lascannon heavy weapon teams, or lascannons in heavy weapon teams. They get targeted straight away and they go. And especially now, with heavy bolters being damaged too, let me tell you, it does not take a lot of spare firepower just to wipe away those lascannons and to leave you feeling a bit silly. So this is a good stratagem, but on the one hand, the first automatic choice of mortars well, they're a bit expensive for what you get. And on the other hand, lascannons, which is a good option, but then they die really easily. So for me, guys, I have actually started using this on my autocannon heavy weapon teams. Now, I'm a big fan of autocannon heavy weapon teams. And you know what? I picked this idea up from Striker Scorpion 82. I've been watching a few of his battle reports recently. I like the Tabletop Tactics ones and the Winter SEO ones, obviously. I love them. But there's something about going back to the original, the best, the old but gold, the Striker Scorpion 82 ones. And the guard player on that channel use this thing, and I just thought, you know what? Let me go and try that. And again, I was able to try this out in a battle report between the tiers and the lockdowns and whatnot. Not a battle report, just in a battle. And let me tell you, it was damn effective. It was damn effective. You put it on autocannons, and so it's like, okay, I'm hitting on 3s. I'm rerolling 1s. That's pretty good. If I was Cajun, I'm not, but if I was, I'd be hitting on 3s, rolling everything. That's 6 autocannon shots a turn. Okay, that starts getting fruity. Now, obviously, the problem with autocannons is it's like, well, they don't seem to, wound a lot. They're always wounding things on 4s or, best on 3s. But then you're suddenly like, okay, but now I'm wounding all these Marines and all these vehicles on like 2s. And I've always been a big fan of autocannon heavy weapon teams because they're cheap enough that you don't care if they die, but they're powerful enough that they're actually a threat. But they don't seem a bigger threat as lascannons in your infantry squads, right? So I use this and I put this stratagem on a heavy weapon team with autocannons, and I fired it against an enemy Torx Prime. I was facing off against Scions, and I shredded it. Absolutely gave it the beans. It was like that scene in Saving Private Ryan when you've got the guys crawling all over the tank and the autocannon comes out and just blows them off. That was what it was like. It was obscene, guys. Heavy autocannons hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, wounding on 2s. It was nice. Nice. It was good. So I think it's definitely something I'm getting. It's one of these quick tick tactics. I'm just throwing it out there for you guys. I'm not overly thinking about it. I'm not overly math hammering it or anything like that. It's a quick tip tactic. And the point of it is consider that experienced eye stratagem from a different angle. Consider this concentrated fire stratagem from a different angle. Mortars are great, indirect fire, all this kind of stuff, but what are we seeing a lot in the current meta? We're seeing elite infantry, we're seeing durability. Less and less are we seeing the likes of things like mortars having an impact on games. They're okay for picking units off, but now even scouts have moved to the elite slot for Marines. Now you're seeing intercessors sitting on objectives. It can take 3 squads of mortars every turn, barraging away to make a dent, to kill those 5 intercessors out of that objective, especially if they're in cover, because they've got no AP and no way of getting round that cover. And they're all 2 wounds and all this kind of crazy stuff. But then you're like, okay, autocannons, they've got the strength, so they're wounding even Plague Marines or like that, they're wounding them on 2s. Obviously Plague Marines won't be that bothered about the damage, but it's the wounding. So they've got the strength to wound almost anything you want. They've got enough AP that it's good enough. You're either cutting through cover or you're putting someone onto their invulnerable save, because a lot of people still have 3+ invulnerable saves or 4+ invulnerables. Anything greater than AP -2 can sometimes be overkill. But not often more AP is better. Let's not be crazy here. But sometimes, so they've got enough AP, they've got enough strength, they've got enough damage, and now they're wounding better and they're hitting better. And you really feel like when you're shooting this unit, as someone who's used it a couple of times, it really feels like you're slamming big fist-sized shells into someone. It makes autocannons feel how they always should have felt. And if the enemy goes, bloody hell, I don't want those autocannons shooting me again next turn, and they turn around and just swipe them away, you don't care, because they're not your main source of anti-tank. They're not your main source of anti-infantry. They're a jack of all trades. They're an autocannon. Okay, if they live, great. They'll slam those baked bean cans into someone every single turn. If they die, you don't care. They've drawn fire from your infantry squads, from your foot veterans, or from your tank commanders. If you're running things like 3 tank commanders and then these as some heavy support, they're cheap and they will put out decent damage every single turn. They're just good. So Anyway, guys, we'll wrap the video up there. I highly recommend you just try it out. Maybe just take the one squad. Just try. If you're taking 3 heavy weapons, you normally take 3 lots of mortars. Just try a little squad of autocannons. Try concentrated fire on them. I guarantee you'll be pleasantly surprised at how chunky, how powerful, how punchy that squad feels. And for 1 CP, you can't go wrong. Anyway, guys, hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Please let me know what you think down in the comment section below. And of course, I'll see you guys next time.